Some of you are familiar with this song, Lord of the Dance. Sidney Carter came out with it in the 1960s. I will not butcher it. Dance, dance, wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance, said he, and so forth. Thank you. So, I was hoping that people would continue that. You go, steady, I'm the Lord of the dance, steady. Came in the 60s. What's interesting about this is it's different than that. Is this whole concept of, sorry, I'm trying to move on quickly. The whole concept of the notion of the Lord of the Dance came from him, not from Christianity, but it came from Hinduism. It came from Nataraja, who, if you've studied Hinduism, he's known as, it's a form of Shiva. It's known as the Lord of the Dance. I loved what the hymn writer who wrote this hymn said. He said, I didn't think the churches would like it at all. I thought many people would find it pretty far flown, probably heretical, in any way dubiously Christian. But people did sing it. Unknown to me, it touched a chord. Anyway, it's the sort of Christianity I believe in. And again, the notion of the Lord of the Dance. I like to imagine Jesus wearing a tuxedo t-shirt. It's both formal and informal at the same time. That's George Harrison. This is the Lord, when he sang My Sweet Lord, he was talking about Lord Krishna. Music has shifted. And again, just imagining, not 60 years ago, even imagining 30 years ago what traditional music would look like, and imagining today it's very frequently a very different kind of look. And we can see that in how the music sounds. Sometimes the music sounds more contemporary. Here.
Mary, did you know?
Song. It's not just a contemporary religious song. It has a techno beat, but it's not only that. But what?
Justin Bieber?
He looks like Justin Bieber. No, absolutely. It's perfect. It's like not a Rick roll. It's a Bieber roll. Yeah, exactly. He looks like Justin Bieber. It's very, very intentional. Shifting from music to liturgy, I want to just mention a couple of things. Contemporary worship has increasingly changed liturgy around. Liturgy is the form public worship takes, so the form of worship. And increasingly, I saw this quotation, I liked it, increasingly the church is trying to out-green Al Gore, out-Africa Bono, and out-edge Apple. What has happened? As we become increasingly, I'm just going to read, an increasingly mobile society, we become more open to other faiths. As we become increasingly religious or biblically illiterate, we have fewer expectations and demands within worship. When liturgy is not communicated clearly, it's not seen as significant or relevant. It's seen as traditionalism. It's not seen as a tradition. People have been increasingly attracted to a style of worship and spirituality that's not tradition or history bound. So in terms of VWC general studies categories, that historical emphasis has paled next to the emphasis on aesthetics, communications, and values, the emphasis on community. So people have gone away from history, and worshipers have been attracted to a style of worship that reminds them of other arenas in life that are comfortable, enjoyable, or meaningful. I just want to give you one example. This is supposed to be a parody. It's about 3.5 minutes.
You can't stop it. It's coming to a town near you. It used to be called contemporary. Some call it relevant. We're so cool, we call it contemporvant. Open and song, lights and
young hip guy welcoming all with graffiti and cool glasses. I welcome everybody with arms wide open, revealing my tattoo so you know I have a past. Quirky transition with the band. We invite everyone to sing. Let's do it.
This is the song that everyone knows. It's the song that everyone knows. My new song. Nobody knows. Nobody knows this song. I want you to learn this song and buy my record in the bookstore after the service. I just want to invite the ushers up as we prepare for our offering. Feel free to give if you feel led. It's between you and God, but we're tracking it. One man has all the answers.
I have all the answers. Showing a picture of a puppy and or a baby from an impoverished third world nation.
Speaking softly to draw you in.
And then emphatically, driving home my point. On pause.
Whispering. Repetition.
Still pausing. Pained expression. Long prayer so that the worship leader can get back on stage.
This is the closing song with strings that'll make you cry. Coming soon to your town, a new kind of church. You will be lifted high and challenged to grow. We call that growtivation. You call this Sunday morning.
This is put together by a church that has these kind of services, and I think one of the dangers of doing something like this, one of the dangers of doing this, and again, it's a little self-mockery, but part of what they're doing in the process is creating a hyperbolically faulted self, and they look pretty good in comparison, so that's always one of the challenges. This type of worship that we increasingly see is called block worship, and I think block worship, or praise and worship, sometimes different from the hymn and prayer sandwich. In this case, there's a lot of music up front, and then usually the word comes later. And there's some physiological reasons why that works well. If you're really tired, you're more likely to listen. But there are also some theological reasons as well. But this is liturgy has changed pretty dramatically. And the last thing I just want to share is worship space, or the penultimate thing I want to share. As a broader sense of spirituality has developed, there's a decreased sense that only certain kinds of space are necessary or appropriate. So many growing churches have been characterized by worship space that's flexible, informal, and worship spaces that are comfortable, both physically and mentally, places that just feel comfortable. It used to be new church startups would start up in schools, and then they realized, because school spaces were available, then people realized that sometimes young people or people in their 20s or late teens, don't necessarily like going back into high school because it creates feelings of anxiety. And so Strawbridge Marketplace, the Forefront Church for a while, they sometimes worship, this is at an old drive-in theater. Forefront Market, that's pretty controversial right there. Thank God for sex, that's the church promotion. Again, it shows signs of assimilation or accommodation or trying to be relevant. But they've moved into a movie theater. Very frequently, churches use movie theaters, pass around popcorn buckets to take offering, have lots of video clips. Forefront Movie Theater, I liked it because you'd go in, their Sunday school classes, like the kindergarten was the gummy bear class, and they all had names based on the candy.